What's up guys, Rhino here and welcome back to another one of my FIFA 20 Ultimate Team videos. So in this video guys, today I'm going to be taking a look at this one to watch ALLAN SAINT-MAXIMIN. Now I'm going to be going through a few SBCs like in a few up and coming videos, so it's going to be the start of a few. I'm going to aim to sort of do this one, the Joseph Martinez and the Robert Lewandowski. Originally I kind of held off for a bit because I wanted to maybe see if I could get one of them actually done on either of my accounts. Apologies, I just smacked the mic there. But unfortunately it doesn't really look like it's going to happen because they're just like ridiculously overpriced for this stage of the game, and I just can't justify it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on SAINT-MAXIMIN today. I'll start off by just taking a look at the card, then we'll have a look at what sort of team you'd need to put in. Of course, it's only going to be a concept squad for me. I'm not going to be actually submitting players in. And then I'll just kind of give like an overall kind of summary of the pros and cons for this particular SBC and my general kind of verdict as to whether I would do it or not. So yeah, first of all guys, let's have a look at this card. Now 5'8" high-low work rates is really good for a winger. Obviously the height's not really like a major thing on this particular game because crossing isn't very effective. Headers are hardly ever scored, so having short wingers isn't really the end of the world. He's obviously right-footed, 4-star weak foot, 5-star skills is absolutely brilliant. Hence why his base card is so popular. But we'll get onto that in a second, guys. Now, obviously, in-game stats is quite an important part. Like, it's quite an important factor to look at with a player. He's absolutely rapid, of course, 93 pace, so he's got 93 across the board actually for acceleration and sprint speed. Dribbling comes in at 86, and that is put together by 93 agility, which is brilliant, 86 balance, 78 reactions, 81 ball control, 90 dribbling, 81 composure. Now 81 composure on a 79 rated card is actually really good, to be fair. That's quite surprising. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it was that high. Which obviously it goes into the dribbling stat. When you look at his shooting, which is only 70, you imagine that he's probably not that great at finishing, and obviously you can see that with the 69 finishing there. So it'd be interesting to see how the finishing and composure combine with him. Apparently he's quite good, to be honest. Like, I've heard great things about his base card, and of course this card right now is his base card. You know, there's nothing improved about this card as of yet. It is still the same stats, so he should perform really well on the pitch. 74 attacking positioning, 80 shot power, and then the rest of the stats there, like long shots, volleys, penalties, all very, very low. Passing's only 70 as well. He has 75 short passing and 72 long passing. The only ones that actually can be classed as green there, guys, which is kind of worrying considering he's a winger. Only 66 crossing, which is pretty poor. So you kind of automatically think that he's going to be a winger who maybe, obviously not going to cut inside, but kind of drift into the central areas and be a little bit more offensive and shoot a bit more, but obviously he doesn't kind of have the finishing for that, so it makes you wonder what kind of winger he is. Obviously the defending stuff, guys, is kind of irrelevant. Like, heading accuracy comes under that, but we've kind of covered this before. Obviously, like, heading is not very effective on this game, and obviously he's 5'8", so he's hardly going to get any chances anyway, especially when you combine that with the 68 jumping, which means that he's literally going to be like useless in the air. 77 stamina is not too bad for this stage of the game. It's not brilliant, but there's going to be a lot of cards out there that aren't going to be that high in stamina. It's a little bit disappointing because he's obviously going to burn off energy pretty quickly because of his pace, but very, very much like an extremely good super sub if you want to use him that way. I'm not sure he'd be brilliant over the course of a full 90 minutes, but obviously I'd have to use him to kind of confirm that. 66 strength is kind of what you'd expect, and the 36 aggression, again, you'd expect that from him. But yeah, interesting kind of in-game stats, guys. Now, I'm going to have a look at the squads, and then I've got a few kind of reasons just written down here, which I'll kind of talk through and kind of explain a little bit more as to my reasons why I don't actually think he's worth it, to be honest. But yeah, the first one's the Premier League one. Well, it's called Premier League. Now, you only actually need one Premier League player to do it. It's an 84 rated squad that is required, and also 75 chemistry. Now, the chemistry is such an important thing, guys. When it comes to SBCs and kind of determining if an SBC is going to be expensive or a cheap one, of course you've got the rating. Now, the rating is very important because obviously you have to put together 11 players to create an average rating to hit that requirement. So if you end up, like with this one, if you have an 84 rated, even if you put a couple of like 82s in there, you're not going to get away with it, because you're going to then have to put in some like 86s or 87s or whatever to basically make up for the low rated card. So you need an average rate. So no matter what, that's going to be quite an important factor. But the chemistry is big as well, because the problem is, obviously there's a limited kind of pool of players that are going to be of a certain rating in each league. So the Premier League's not going to have infinite numbers of 84, 85 rated cards. Of course, there's quite a few, but some of them are going to be a lot more expensive than others, because they're going to be more OP in game. They're going to hold a lot more value, and you won't necessarily want to put them into an SBC. So it's difficult to get links at times, guys, because you need to be careful what you pick. You kind of have to sort of get as many green links as possible in certain areas and then build around it. So you'll see with this particular squad, we got a couple of players who are like out of position, not even on links. So for example, we got Sommer there in the right back slot, who's literally doing nothing really. He's offering zero chemistry, in fact, but he's literally just there because he's an 84 rated card and he helps to get that average rating. It's important to notice as well, guys, that there's different factors that can determine whether a player is useful or appropriate for an SBC. So what you'll kind of notice with a lot of these players, they'll tend to have like a particular theme. Either there'll be a goalkeeper, because goalkeepers tend to be really cheap, because goalkeepers are just kind of not that great on FIFA in general. You get the odd few that are really, really overpowered, but in general they tend to let you down a lot. They're all pretty similar really. So hence why they don't hold like huge amounts of value, because you can't. They're not the sort of player that can be like really influenced by the player controlling them. They are very much kind of computer controlled, so there's not really a lot you can do about goalkeepers, hence why they just don't end up costing too much. Sometimes it's the league that they play in, and sometimes it's just like the general stats, guys. Like if you look at the strikers that we've got in this one, we've got Higuain and Mandzukic. So you look at that and you think, like, you know, in real life Higuain's a little bit on the decline, but he was a really good striker back in his day, and Mandzukic is still a very, very respectable forward. Both like good finishers, but the key thing to note is Mandzukic is just not usable in game. 68 pace, you just won't use him. Crossing and heading isn't very overpowered, and that's kind of his main strength, so he's not going to be too useful. Higuain only has 63 pace, so he's not going to be any good, guys. He's not going to get in behind, he's not going to penetrate the defensive lines and get into those spaces that their defenders might leave. So even though he's got good shooting stat, he's only really going to be able to hit shots from outside the box a lot of the time and be sort of like a poacher, which could work for some people in their particular style, but for the majority of FIFA players, pace is quite important this year, as it is most years, to be honest. So players like this, they just don't hold a lot of value. So if we search Higuain on the market, obviously this isn't going to be a completely accurate representation, because obviously I'm not going off like the cheapest buy now, but I mean, look at this. Like we saw 6.9k as the cheapest buy now so far. Now there's probably one or two that are a little bit cheaper, but you can see where I'm getting at here, guys. A lot of these are about 7,000 coins, these Higuains. Now for an 85 rated card, that's ridiculously cheap, but it's obviously because he's not good in game. Same with like Mandzukic. If we go here, he's an 84 rated card. What's his value going to be? Like literally 3,000 coins, not even 3,000 coins. It's unbelievably cheap, which is why you'd want to put him in. Whereas you can look at some players. If I pick up an example of maybe, let's say, Gabriel Jesus, I mean, he's not obviously going to work for this particular squad, but if I just take him as a random example, an 82 rated striker, so you'd think that Mandzukic should be worth a lot more because he's 2 ratings higher, but he's really not. If you go to Gabriel Jesus, he's there, look, he's about 40,000 coins on the market. So, and that's purely just because he has the stats that he excels in are the stats which people value a lot more. For example, pace, dribbling, shooting, of course, which obviously Higuain and Mandzukic have, but when you combine the shooting with just physical, it doesn't really help as much. But if you combine shooting with pace and dribbling, it's a lot more effective. So there's obviously things which can be taken into consideration. I know a lot of you guys know that already, and obviously I've done videos last year about SBCs, so a lot of you probably thinking like, yeah, it's basic stuff, but I know there's guys that are obviously just getting into Ultimate Team this year, and they may not understand why some players are more than others for those sort of reasons. So I just want to kind of quickly cover that. And I'll move on with the rest of the squad, guys, what we've got. So there's Sirigu in goal, again an 84, again a goalkeeper. We've got Romagnoli and Acerbi, or Acerbi, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, to be honest. I think I say this every time I put him into an SBC. But 83 rated cards, not very expensive at all. We've got Hamzik there, which is, again, it's kind of one of those ones that he's gone down anyway because he's changed league, but he is now in the Chinese Super League, so he doesn't really hold a lot of value because it's not a league that's very desirable. In fact, is he extinct? Oh, it's because I've got it under left back. There we go. Right, so literally 2,000 coins for an 84 rated card. He doesn't even look that bad. Like, he has pretty respectable stats to play in the centre of midfield, but he plays in a poor league. He's not like a very popular nationality. He's not going to get very many good chemistry links off him, so it's going to be extremely difficult to get him into a team. Therefore, people don't value him too highly, and he then becomes a perfect player for this type of SBC. And of course, we've got Carrasco there as well, which he plays for the same club, an 83 rated card. He's going to link well to Hamzik, so that works quite nicely. In midfield, we've got Lucas Leiva and Luis Alberto, two 84s who both play for Lazio. So a good league, and they're good nationalities, these guys, but Lucas Leiva is just not a FIFA player, only 62 pace. And Luis Alberto, he doesn't look like an 84 at all. I mean, the stats on him are not very impressive whatsoever. But we do finish off the squad with Pedro, which is just an 82. That's obviously all we need to get that one done. The combined total of this particular squad is about 30,000 coins. Of course, it can vary. Player prices will fluctuate a lot, but when they're these type of players that aren't overly expensive, they'll only sort of change by like 500 coins, maybe 1,000 coins each way on a set day. So, you know, if you were to look at the SBC value on a site which had SBC solutions, I won't kind of name any, but if you were to do that and you thought, oh yeah, like it's going to cost me 30,000 coins, just be wary that it could cost you maybe like 33,000 coins. It is possible, but this is kind of the average sort of price for that. And of course, we're not going to put that together. But yeah, that is the first squad, guys. The second one is even more expensive, which I find incredible. You just need an 85 rated squad, and it only needs 55 chemistry this time. So, like I said before, both factors are quite important. The rating is obviously higher, which means we're going to have to put a few more 85s and even 86s in there. As you can see, we've got a few 86s in this squad. But the good thing is, because you only need 55 chemistry, we actually don't need to worry too much about the links. We need sort of minimal green links, really. You can see that we've got 2 green links in there, actually. A lot of dead links. So you can literally just put players wherever you want. Like, we've got 4 goalkeepers in this squad. We've almost got a whole defence full of goalkeepers. And like I said, goalkeepers, even the high-rated goalkeepers, tend to be quite cheap. So they're definitely the best way to go. Just to kind of like max out their rating and just free up some space to maybe put in a lower rated card who actually hits the chemistry requirement in a different position. Like, for example, in this case, Alexis Sanchez there, only an 82 rated, but he works because he gets soft links to Dzeko and to Pjanic. And we can afford to put an 82 rated card in there because we've got slightly higher rated cards in these other areas. Maybe like a slightly higher rated left winger in the Serie A who would have linked to Pjanic and Dzeko would be quite a bit more expensive. Obviously, Sanchez doesn't hold much value because he's kind of declined a lot. His stats aren't brilliant, so it makes sense to put somebody like him in. And of course, as talking about, we had Dzeko there. He does a 5-star weak foot, but 60 pace. A very, very similar player to Mandzukic. It's just not really going to hold a lot of value. Visca, 84 rated. Looks like a really good card, but he's another example of a player where we look at Bosnia and Herzegovina. Not going to be a good nation to link with, and he plays in the Turkish league, so again, no kind of links there at all, guys. Luis Alberto does actually cover both squads. Let's just quickly have a look at his price. This sort of like confirms to you guys that he is not a lot. There we go, so probably about 5,000 or 6,000 coins. You'd have to pick him up twice, but again, not too bad. There's not actually many of him on the market, surprisingly. Sorry. We have Fabian in there, or Fabian, I don't know how you pronounce his name. But yeah, 83 rated card for him. He obviously gets a strong link to Luis Alberto, which works well for the chemistry. Pjanic is there for well, a rating thing, I suppose. And he's not overly expensive because he's only got 68 pace. He's obviously a bit, but because all 86s will cost a little bit because people know that they're needed for these SBCs. But as a general kind of rule for an 86 rated card, he's quite cheap in comparison to some others. Szczesny's there as another 86, gets a strong link to Pjanic. Of course, he's out of position, so he only gets 2 chemistry, but what he does is he gives Pjanic the boost. Then we've got Burki playing in centre back there, 85 rated. There's Pavlenka, who's an 84, Muller as an 86, and Galaxy as an 85. Now, Muller is always a brilliant SBC player for FIFA, guys. He's just one of those ones, like, he's not really as good as he used to be on FIFA. Like, he's just slowly getting slower. His stats don't really resemble an 86 rated card at all, but obviously it would be harsh to drop him any lower because he is a brilliant player in real life, but he just isn't really a FIFA player, unfortunately. Not anymore, anyway. He was in one of the years. I mean, he was brilliant, but not anymore. So he's just a great option for a cheap player, or cheap 86 to put in there. And this squad, guys, comes to about 50,000 coins in total. So you're looking at about 80,000 coins to get this SAINT-MAXIMIN done. So that's kind of the squads, and I'll just quickly finish up because I realise obviously it's going to kind of like take a bit of time, this video, guys. I just got a few things written down that I just want to sort of like summarise about this particular card. So I'll first of all talk about the pros of him. So of course, let's just quickly get him up a second so we can actually look at him, just make it a bit easier to explain. So of course he's French, and he's from the Premier League, so he's great for chemistry. Like, you can get a lot of green links off him, guys. Like, for example, if you want to link him to some midfielders, you got like Kante, Pogba, Moussa Sissoko, even the one to watch in Dombele, which is coming in obviously the objectives. So a lot of people are going to have that card, so you can get a great link there. In terms of like links to his club, obviously not great because Newcastle don't have like too many high rated players, but he will get good links there. And of course, just being Premier League in general, if you just wanted to link him like with soft links, there's going to be plenty of players around to do that. His base card is extremely popular as well, guys. It's OP. The 5-star skills make it extremely desirable, along with the great kind of agility and balance, makes him quite a tricky opponent. Maybe not the greatest kind of end product, but he could be a very effective player. And his base card's like 20k, so clearly he is quite a good player. He's going to be decent. If he was to get some boosts, he would be, he'd be brilliant if he did get some boosts. But that's kind of all I can really see, guys, really for the pros. Because if I move on to the cons now, of course the SBC costs 80k, and I've just mentioned that the base card is 20k. Now he could get some boosts, but realistically, I don't really think he will. Because Newcastle as a team at the moment aren't in a good place. They're not doing too well. They hardly score many goals, so there's not going to be many opportunities for a player of his kind of level to actually go into that team and really have like a good game where he nets like 2 or 3 goals to get himself an inform to boost his card. So therefore, I think you'll probably find in a few months' time he won't have any boosts, and his card is obviously still the same stats as the base card, and you'll end up paying out like 80,000 coins for essentially a 20k player, which in a few months won't even be a 20k player, will be like a 3 or 4k player, because obviously there's no end product there because there's only 70 shooting. So I do think it's a bit of a risk. I don't see him getting many boosts. Of course, we never know because, it's football and they could suddenly have an upturn in fortunes. Maybe the January transfer window comes around, they get a few players in and they could suddenly propel themselves up the table. It only takes one game as well, guys, to get an inform. Like, it's not like he has to perform well over like a consistent period of time. He could just play against like, I don't know, say it could be like Newcastle versus Watford, like a bottom of the table clash. He could get a hat-trick. And that would be enough to get him an inform, and that would then make it a bit more worth it. But I just think in general, guys, it's pretty unlikely, so I wouldn't kind of recommend sinking 80,000 coins into it at the moment, especially considering coins are a bit harder to come by, and you probably want to save your coins for slightly better players. Like, I'd imagine there's some better players on the market in general right now that you can pick up for 80,000 coins that would be a lot more effective than him. And the other thing as well, guys, is that because he's low rated, if he doesn't get any boosts, he's not even going to be of much worth like in a couple months down the line for an SBC. Now obviously there comes a point, probably when the winter one to watch comes out, they normally do some SBCs where you can like untradeable ones, where you can submit a one to watch player to get another one to watch player, obviously with like a few other players in the squad. But they normally require like a certain overall rating, maybe like, I don't know, like 81, 82 rated squad. If he's still a 79 at that point, he's not really going to be too great. If you put him in, you're then going to have to sacrifice a few 83s or 84s just to kind of balance out that overall rating for your squad. So he doesn't even really hold too much SBC value either, guys. So it does make him... I just personally think he's a huge risk. But it's one of those ones, if he gets it, it could be brilliant and it could work very well for you guys. But for me personally, I don't really see it as a very kind of sensible investment. Especially, I mean, look at my coins at the top there. I've got like 89,000 coins. I have to sink all my coins in to get that. I mean, it's just not worth it at all, unfortunately. So I'm gonna end it there, guys. Overall, I don't really think he's worth it, obviously for the reasons I just stated. Let me know in the comments below if you've got him, if you do think he's worth it, and what you kind of just think of his card in general. And hopefully this video was quite useful, guys. And I realise it's probably dragged on a little bit. Obviously, I've kind of done it in quite a bit of detail, so it's probably dragged on a little bit, so I apologise for that. But if you have managed to stick with me, then that is much appreciated. But yeah, if it was useful, then feel free to leave a like. And if you want to see more of these SBC videos and just like my Road to Glory videos in general, because I'm going to be doing the Martinez and the Lewandowski, they'll be to come after this one, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. That would be much appreciated. But that is it from me, guys. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you later.